Welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now, what I've got for you today is a Protoss versus Zerg, where we find ourselves on the map Jagannatha or whatever, man. It's been like a half year and I still don't know exactly how to pronounce this map name. And honestly, at this point, I don't really care anymore. Spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner, playing with the blue Protoss probes from South Korea. We have one of the strongest Protoss players in the world, and his name is Trap. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones from Finland, he goes by the name of Serral. Alrighty, so here we go. A top-level game of Protoss versus Zerg. I feel like I've been casting a lot of Zerg, especially over like the last 2 weeks or so. I've been casting a bunch of the Terran versus Terrans and Protoss versus Protosses and Protoss versus Terrans as well. Yeah, were part of like the most recent StarCraft 2 replay packs. The thing is, those games just haven't really been that exciting. So, I mean, yeah, that happens every once in a while. So, in case you're wondering why I've been covering a lot of Zerg, especially recently, it's because, I mean, I've casted a bunch of the other matchups as well. It's just that they haven't been that exciting. And I guess a lot of Zerg players have been making it pretty deep into these weekly tournaments quite a lot recently. This particular game is from the Champions Brawl. Was played about, I think, about 2 weeks or so ago at this point. Anyways, a top-level game of ZVP, so we should be in for a treat. I haven't seen this particular match yet, so I'm excited to find out exactly what ends up going down. Now, as I've said many times before, I'm a big fan of this little move right here from Trap, where he forces the Zerg not to take their natural, but to pop on over towards the third base instead. This is one of those moves that, generally speaking, isn't that big of a deal at the highest level, but it's very annoying if you're a regular ladder hero, right? And you can see that Trap is still executing it right here against one of the best Zerg players on the planet. I highly recommend you do it as a Protoss player in every single game against Zerg. On some maps, I believe on Jagannatha, you can still actually build the pylon on the low ground and then send the probe across the map because of those speed-up circles. But on some maps, you need to send a probe out before the pylon probe. It depends on the rush distance from natural to natural, so that's one of the things you, I guess, will have to figure out, but it's super good. I mean, even Serral is probably, yeah, gonna prefer being able to plan down his natural expo. I mean, Zerg obviously likes to open up with triple hatch, so eventually all of this will be connected with creep, and the units are gonna be able to maneuver around easily. But for example, right, we already see a chrono right here on an adept. At the point that the adept gets to the other side of the map, there's definitely not gonna be Zergling speed yet, even though it was just started up. I mean, it's still going to be a little bit annoying right now for Serral, who's going to be forced to split up these Zerglings, or at the very least risk one of the bases. It's just not ideal. Also, the drones that are pulled out of gas, they either have the choice of oversaturating the main base, or, you know, to go on over towards the third base, meaning that they have to make this walk from the main base all the way over to the third base, and there's a little bit of lost mining time. The queens are going to have to dedicate either like a creep tumor to creeping back to the main base. It's just annoying, okay, is what I'm getting at, and I think it's really, really good whenever Protoss players open with that sort of shenanigans. It's going to be a Stargate transition right here from Trap. Okay, this was spotted already by Serral. Curious position right here on the first pylon, actually. Normally, it's right over there or so, just to make the Overlord a little bit more committed. Okay, Adept got 2 kills. So just 2 Zerglings going down, and this is just a nice start right now for our Protoss player, who's decided to go for a second Adept and then also a Stalker. Okay. Oracle first. So Oracle is, well, rallied towards the other side of the map, it looks like. It's going to allow a little bit of multi-pronged harassment here with these Adepts. So generally speaking, in the earlier stages here, Protoss will try and be as annoying as possible, right? If you can get yourself, I don't know, half a dozen or so worker kills, that's really, really nice. If you can get yourself more without losing all of the units, I suppose, that's even better, right? Okay, so double Oracle here as a start. Reminds me a bit of a more old school build. Okay, so even though the Adepts right now are forcing a lot of the Zerg's attention over here, yep, these, or this Oracle at the very least is going to be able to make its way over here too. Adepts shade into the main base. Is there enough right now for the Zerg player to defend against this? Because a lot of links have already fallen, actually. Okay, yeah, there's not enough. That means that these Adepts are going to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Oracle now pops in as well. A couple of the Adepts, oh, oof. Some, yeah, that was some synchronized killing right there by those Adepts, right? I mean, the Adepts were both in red hit points, but they still got some work done. Oh my god, second Oracle now swoops in as well. Gets 9 kills right here. Relatively cleanly. As long as the Oracles live, which they both do, this is a really nice position here for our Protoss player to be in. Now, when you go for this sort of opener, your third base is a little bit later than with the Void Ray opener. So, usually with the Void Ray opener, it will start up right around the 4-minute mark. And you can see, obviously, that Trap is taking a small economical hit to try and deal some eco damage to his opponent. But so far, it seems to be working out just fine. So about 5 minutes here. So when the third Nexus should start. There it is. Let's see what the follow-up is going to be. So I like this. We already have a Robo facility, and then we have a Templar Archives here as well with additional gateways finishing up. So he's going to go from pressure into pressure into pressure, right? So Oracles after the Adepts, and now it seems like it's going to be some Archon drop shenanigans too. And then I actually... Oh, he cancelled it. I was going to say, like, he started up the charge upgrade there. 5 additional worker kills end up going down here, although at the cost of, I think, both of the Oracles. Okay. Yeah, 5 additional worker kills right there for 2 Oracles. Probably not worth it because the Oracles have a lot of utility later on as well, but, I mean... He's gonna continue target firing down those workers. Maybe he's getting a little bit overly aggressive. Although at this point, we're talking 16 worker kills against Serral. Although, yeah, it's still fine, I guess. But not as clean as it was earlier because he lost a lot of those harassment units. Anyways, 4 High Templar were warped in right there on the production tab. He morphed them into Archons as well, so that means that Trap is gonna continue the aggression. And he did also restart the charge upgrade. He's got to go for a lot of additional gateways. Man, this guy is just putting on the pressure. The strategy right here is to just try and overwhelm the opponent. And I don't mind it at all. When you've done a bunch of worker harassment in the early game successfully, you may just be able to catch your opponent while they're still trying to drone up, right? So the main goal right now for the Zerg player is to try and fully saturate 3 bases. And if he wouldn't have lost all those units, he would have already been there. Zerglings are going to try and see if they can potentially warp in or run by the natural there, but also this is not going to happen. The lack of gases here at the 3rd base were spotted, so that might very well give him the info that he's looking for, because we're already up to, how many gateways? 6 gateways, that makes 8 gateways, 2 more are coming up, so 10 gateways here in total. A couple of OV snipes here as well, just to try and slow down the building right here from the Zerg. Man, this is some top tier harassment here by Protoss. Okay, now this is an important scout. These Zerglings right here already saw the lack of gases over at the 3rd. And right now they also see the Immortals moving out. This is a big intel. Or some big intel right here for the Zerg player that will tell him that this is going to be some very aggressive pushing here from our Protoss player. Shield battery here in time as well will prevent these links from really getting any work done. Okay. +1 missile, only about halfway done. He may very well need to cancel that if he wants to defend against this 10 gate though, because this is going to be a lot of Protoss very quickly. No observer out just yet. Okay, that one's actually going to be popping very soon, so this fight will be forced to take on creep. How good will the force fields be? Well, very good. He's going to be able to grab a couple of those queens, slice them away from the rest relatively easily. Good dodging right there on the corrosive vials as well. Zerg though is going to be able to reinforce this very aggressively. I love the fact that he's actually unburrowed the Spore Crawler and then burrowed it again at the front just so the Prism can't really micro very easily here. Good targeting though by Trap will actually pick that one up as well. He's going to now start juggling as well with this Warp Prism, trying to keep those weakened units alive. A couple of Archons over here in the natural. One of them will pop just because there's reinforcements coming from both the main base as well as the natural. But Trap is apparently not done just yet. He's going to land 2 corrosive balls, it seemed. Okay, yeah, there was no 3rd one over there. So Trap is going to be able to keep that Prism alive for a little while longer. 17 additional workers will end up going down. Spine Crawler, though, in the back of the 3rd base. Okay, this one apparently was anticipating this fight, swooping on over in that direction. Trap is going to be forced to recall those units out of there to at the very least keep some of them alive. But that is an awful lot of workers going down. Okay, 35 workers get killed in just a couple minutes of time. Okay, nicely done. That being said, Trap has lost a lot of stuff. Yeah. Trap has lost a lot of stuff, and Zerg still has some good creep spread here as well. What's the follow-up going to be? He's going to go Burrow? Oh, okay, he's going to go Burrow and then Tunneling Claws. So he can start tunneling these roaches underneath the wall ofs, right? I mean, not underneath the buildings themselves, because apparently they have very thick foundations or something. I don't know exactly how that works, but he's going to be able to crawl his roaches through those openings in the Zerg or in the Protoss bases relatively easily. Normally, right around this time is when we see photon cannons going up as well, and photon cannons are detectors. At this point, there's not a whole lot of detection here available for Trap, so we'll see if maybe he can get some work done. Anyways, 4 Zealots here. Oh, they noticed that apparently the Spore Crawler, I guess, came from the main base, so he's going to be able to start some harassment up over here as well. No spores anymore on the perimeter, so Zerg is going to be forced to lift up a bunch of units into the main base and try and defend this area as well. I love this though, right? Considering we've seen a lot of Stargate-based openers where the game is just kind of passive, I really like this approach from Trap. He does similar things to the other matchups as well, where he just likes to pile on the pressure and the pressure and the pressure, and then eventually overwhelms his opponents. Serral, though, is still looking quite, quite comfortable, all things considered, right? He's got the 4th hatchery up. Considering the amount of drones he's lost here, it makes you wonder what would have happened here if he lost like 10 less earlier on. Those 2 oracles didn't get so many kills. Anyways, here we go. Tunneling Claws is done. These roaches are already in position. Roaches here on the left as well. They do get spotted, so at this point, Trap knows exactly what's going on. Doesn't have any detection, though, on the right, and this is enough roaches to start one-shotting these probes as well. So, I mean, you do have to start targeting them properly in order for the shield battery to not just heal them back up to full. Nice little bit of worker harassment here at the cost of only 3 roaches. It's going to start up a couple of photon cannons here, but at this point, there's not a whole lot of detection at home. Trap, though, apparently decides to counterattack right now. Maybe he can kill the 4th base. That would be nice. Okay, cancels right there at the last possible second. This is actually starting to, like, hurt quite a lot, though. Yeah, 6 probes. It's not as easy for a Protoss player to replace as it is for the Zerg. That being said, 4th Nexus is done. Zerg is going to now only start up the 4th hatchery again because he had to cancel the previous one. Serral, though, is still ahead when it comes to the supply count. It's mostly Roaches and Ravagers, so that is something worth pointing out. Okay. Tunnels underneath the force fields as well, because that is something you can do. But those Roaches actually got a lot of work done. 9 probes there in total. Evens up the worker count reasonably well. So despite the fact that there is a 4th Nexus, it's not like Trap is, significantly ahead right now, economically speaking. Looks like it's going to be a Baling Nest as a follow-up as well from Zerg. So I think Roach, Ravager, Ling Bane. Something along those lines. Relatively low tech, but I don't mind it at all because it means that you don't have to invest into a lot of those late-game upgrades just yet. Means that his army is going to be, much bigger than it normally would be. Okay. Once again, we have some split pushing right here from Serral. Forcing his opponent to warp in a lot of Stalkers as well. Not really the unit you want to have at this stage in the game, to be honest. Stalkers are, I mean, they're good. They can still be very powerful against just Roach Ravager-based armies, but already there is a transition coming up for Zerglings and Banelings. I would actually really like to see maybe a second Evo Chamber for +1 melee, although that might be a little bit too expensive to afford at this stage in the game. Second Robo comes up, as well as the Robotics Bay, so that opens up the opportunity to go for either Colossi or Disruptors. I don't mind it, either of them are pretty good. Blink is going to finish up very shortly as well. Trap constantly out on the map here. Bailing speed about only halfway done. Overlord speed also only about halfway done. Well, maybe 80% or so of the way. One nice thing, obviously, that you get as well with these Banelings is that you can try and go for some Baneling roll buys. If you manage to blow up one mineral line, that's one way of solidly putting yourself back in the game. Overseer here is going to scout out if there's already a Skytoss transition coming up. Seems like that is not the case. It's going to be Disruptors, by the way, so Purification Novas, very good against this relatively slow-moving Zerg army, especially off-creep. The Queens, as well as the Spore Quarters right there, force the Prism back. But apparently this is the moment where Zerg decides to go in for maybe a bit of a push. This choke point over here, though. Yeah, nice usage right there by the Protoss player here of the map design. I like it. Once again, Roach is split up. They're going to try and see if they can potentially get some work done over here. Okay. Roach is still at home as well to defend against this Zealot run by. And all of a sudden, Serral's looking a lot stronger, man. Look at his bank and look at his max out. So Serral right now maxed out, and he's sitting at a whole lot of resources here as well. His army is a little low tech. It's going to be hard to transition right now towards higher tech units as well. I mean, he can go Hydra Den, he can go Lurker Den and all that, but I feel like he may very well want to try and pile up the pressure here, or pile on the pressure rather, with just Roach Ravager Ling Bane instead. I almost feel like Trap should play a little bit more defensively and just try to max out against this. He's getting himself the +3 upgrade for his ground units, which is fantastic. Serral once again tunneling a couple of Roaches. No Observer on this side, but maybe he can see the little shade over there, like the little shadow. It's very hard to spot. Okay, instead these units are going to be able to make their way towards the third base relatively easily. Zealots get recalled though. Okay. He's going to move on over towards the bottom right-hand corner instead. Fifth hatchery has finished up here for Serral. These traits are starting to become a little bit expensive. Maybe he wants to replace them with Lynx. I don't know. Anyways, oh, he does have a Spire, so he could go, okay, for an all-out Mutalisk switch. That is a bit of a gamble because we know that there's Archons, we know that there's Storm, we know that there's Photon Cannons, and we know that there's Blink Stalker out. But 20 Mutas can certainly catch your opponent off guard. These Mutas will likely not be used for fighting the actual Protoss army, but they'll probably be used primarily for counterattacks. At the same time, though, Trap right now is transitioning towards full-on Skytles. He's got himself a couple of carriers coming up. That does mean that he likely wants to start trading out his maxed out army right around this point. Okay, Purification Nova right there does not connect because the thing got killed before it happened. That does mean that they're going to be on cooldown here for at least a little bit, okay? Ooh, Banelings do roll forward. They get some decent trades there. A lot of this Protoss army is softened up. Mutas at the same time are going to move across the map. I think it's time to give up this expansion. The drones are already running, but the Mutas are now going to be available to go into the main base of the Protoss player. And this is where most of that production is at, right? Are there enough Stalkers right now getting warped in, though, to try and finish up all of these Mutas? Carrier finishes up at this time as well. I think that there might just be enough to hold on inside of the main base as well. Here come the Purification Novas. Once again, this time around, they do connect. This Protoss army here on the creep is looking very dangerous. And there it is. GG gets cold. Even though we had our Zerg player here desperately trying to claw himself back into this game, this was Trap's match from start to finish. Starting with the probe, right? Then he went into double adept harassment as well. Oracles came in, he kept on killing a lot of workers, a couple more adepts shaded into the mineral line, then he went for that High Templar into Archon drop, and then he went into the 10-gate 3-base push. I mean, this was, yeah, a very aggressive Trap game while still defending pretty much flawlessly at home. I mean, a couple of roach burrows came through, but that was very clean right there by the Protoss player. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. If you enjoy watching my videos, maybe you're interested as well in my second YouTube channel. It's where I post completed games that I've streamed on Twitch. It's youtube.com/morelowko, and currently I'm posting my Horizon Zero Dawn playthrough over there. So I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video. But for now, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.